that there really is no presidential election in this country. There's a dog and pony show that people get to participate in if they want to waste their time on it every 4 years so they can feel like they are somehow a part of continuing this corrupt system that's lording over them. That's basically it. It's participating in your own destruction every 4 years. But what you vote, actually, it doesn't matter at all. And people are starting to figure this out because it's being rubbed in their face every possible way that it possibly can, that the system's rigged, their vote doesn't matter.
Bernie Sanders wins 56 to 44% in Wyoming. The delegates rewarded Hillary Clinton 11, Bernie Sanders 7.
After a weekend that saw Senator Ted Cruz of Texas sweep all of Colorado's 34 delegates without a single vote being cast by any citizens in a traditional primary process.
People out there are going crazy, you know, in the Denver area, in Colorado itself, and they're going absolutely crazy because they weren't given a vote. This was given by politicians. It's a crooked deal. And I see it. And I see it, honestly, I see it with Bernie too.
Why does the Democratic Party even have voting booths?
No, why?
This system is so rigged.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe that this is actually happening.
I want to show you something. It's about 6 p.m. Central Time where I'm at right now as I record this. And every single place you look on every news outlet, the top news story right now is about how Russian attack jets are repeatedly buzzing a U.S. Navy warship in the Baltic Sea. It's the kind of thing that, were you there? Were you in the Baltic Sea? Did you see that for yourself? No. Then how do you even know it really happened? And regardless of whether it happened or not, does it even really affect you at all on a personal level, affect your life in any way? Not really. It just sounds like some crap they're making up. Probably because a U.S. Navy veteran self-immolated in front of the VA for lack of health care, and they really don't want that in the news. So when you type Navy, you're going to see this story instead. But check it out. Every single top news place you go, Google, it's the top news story. Yahoo News, it's the top news story. Fox News, top news story. CNN, it's the top news story. In fact, the only place where it's not the top news story right now is MSNBC, because they're trying to tout some crap about, can you really buy the GOP nomination? As if you somehow can't buy the Democratic nomination. Give me a break. I don't even know how they can try to pretend to distinguish between the GOP and the Dem side, because it's all rigged, it's all the same BS. But what you aren't going to see in the news right now is the fact that there are huge demonstrations going on at the Capitol right now, protesting the fact that we don't have fair elections. And the way I feel like this is actually a real story is the fact that the mainstream media is not covering it hardly at all, and it's definitely not anywhere in the top news. And this is top news. You had over 500 people arrested so far this week at the Capitol for peacefully protesting. They call it unlawful protesting activity. Because as we all know, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights clearly says that when you want to petition the government for a redress of grievances, you first have to ask that government who has grieved you for a permit to redress those grievances. You first have to say, please, can I have a permit to allow me to tell you how much you've upset me? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But these are people who are peacefully sitting around. They're not doing anything, just holding signs, walking, sitting. They're protesting, which is their First Amendment right, but they're being arrested. Cops just show up and zip tie everybody.
At least 1,000 or more protesters marched from Union Station all the way up to Capitol Hill. They all descended right upon the steps, and it wasn't long before Capitol Hill police separated the two. Those who refused to move staged a sit-in. Several hundred people sat down. Those were the people that basically volunteered or knew that they were asking to be arrested. Several hundred people now, all cleared away, plucked out one by one, hands tied by zip ties. Capitol Hill police came ready with stacks and stacks of those zip ties, along with a full-scale bus where they began to take protesters one by one, busload after busload.
In fact, on Tuesday, because they have different themes for this protest every day, and on Tuesday it was senior citizens, and the Capitol Police zip-tied 85 senior citizens. I don't even know how the Capitol Police can look at themselves in the mirror after... They drive around all day long in that car that says to protect and serve, and then they go zip-tie someone's grandma for her First Amendment rights. The rights that they swore to protect and serve, to uphold. I would want to punch myself in the face if I had that job. That is a horrible... I just don't even know how you can look at yourself when you're a Capitol police officer at this point. You would have to feel like the scum of the earth. The fact that they don't and can still do this job and look at themselves every day and pretend like they're doing something good, has your humanity been removed, along with your common sense? Because what? Because they were blocking the sidewalk? Because no one can seem to get through that scary band of 85 elderly people. Oh my God, they're blocking the sidewalk. That's a public nuisance. What if I was trying to walk down that sidewalk and somehow had to walk around 85 senior citizens? How would I manage to do it safely? It's ridiculous. But what's really awesome is to see these quotes from people for their whole lives have believed in this completely made up system.
The impossibility of getting anything done without huge piles of money is something that's taking us, we're in a handbasket.
I've been a Republican all my life, but I will never be a Republican again.
Again, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let you actually do it. Everything is controlled from the top. And these people are starting to figure that out. There's a quote here from Jill, an elderly election worker from New Jersey, and she said, "I think it's become apparent to a lot of us that the whole political process in our country is really under the control of a handful of people, and by the time we get to make a choice in November, the fix is already in, because all of the candidates typically are ones who are going to do what the establishment, the oligarchy, wants from them." Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it is. So now people are actually starting to figure that out. And it only had to be rubbed in their face every possible way, but they actually are starting to figure it out, which is making things more interesting than just another puppet election on your average day. And the fact that it's the Capitol. Like, they don't have mainstream press stationed out at the Capitol for any time anything. Oh, a cat climbed a tree at the Capitol. Send down every outlet. We'll go film it right now. It's a top news story.
Well, one interesting fact that I think I have to talk to you about is the sledding situation over here at the Capitol. Sledding is banned at the Capitol for safety and security reasons. And then what we got essentially was civil disobedience. Parents and their kids showing up here anyway at the Capitol with their sleds. And I talked to some of the kids about it. They said they thought the ban was ridiculous. Listen.
That's insane. Yeah, that's not fair. It's crazy.
So when 500 people get arrested and the jails are overflowing and the Capitol Police actually say it's a record number of people arrested at the Capitol, there's no mainstream press there to really cover that? Really?
During daytime and afternoon news segments, CNN did not devote any coverage to the actions on their actual TV side. MSNBC mentioned the protest for approximately 12 seconds, while Fox News mentioned the arrest and discussed the protest for around 17 seconds. So look at Fox News leading the way there.
Frustrating that a lot of the establishment media didn't cover it. The largest arrest in Capitol history, and they don't think that's newsworthy. That's insane.
That's why you know it's a real story. It's the fact that they will not cover it. They'll cover Black Lives Matter all day when George Soros is handing protesters paychecks to go down and stir up some racial division in any major city. They'll send every media outlet you can possibly think of down there and shove it in your face for days on end. When an actual protest happens against the system, they don't even want people to know that exists or know that that's happening. So you have to actually go to Russia today to get information on the fact that large groups of people are protesting against the fact that we don't have elections in America. I think things are going to get much more interesting as we head toward the Hillary Queen crowning ceremony that's coming this November. I think that's what we're going to see. And I don't think I don't see how they're going to get people to really buy it. Too many people are figuring out how completely made up this whole thing is.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen when millions more like me do the exact same thing?
And that's awesome. It gives me hope. That is the only way anything is ever going to change around here. What's the quote?